How are we doing, everybody? This is AJ Torsa calling strikes, and today I have a special guest that is the Bear Man of Texas, Alex Alcazaz. Alex, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I can't complain, man. It's going good on my end. It's uh, it's kind of wild with everything going on, and it's just so great because like when we go over like people that are just so non-biased and just overall knowledgeable in sports, you're one of the first people I think of.
At the end of the day, it's the job that I basically decided to pursue. It's my job to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But sometimes you got to take it to a point where you might sound like an asshole, but you know what? At the end of the day, the truth hurts. It's because a lot of people don't want to accept that truth.
I understand the truth and everything else, but also a lot of those, I guess the bigotry, it comes from those people that are biased.
Oh yeah,
Like if
definitely.
like I'll say this, right? And I was going to touch into this subject later on, but we might as well because this is just going to prove a point.
Oh, big time.
I mentioned this in a tweet, and no one has ever seemed to come up with a good, solid, concrete excuse of why this is. So when we think about legends of the game, right? Like if we were to take the four major American sports of basketball, baseball, football, and hockey, okay? And
Hmm.
we could include North American because of the Canadian teams. So when you think of the greats, right? And I'm leaving Wayne Gretzky out of hockey because before him there was Gordie Howe. Okay?
Hmm.
Some people believe Jim Brown is the best football player to ever live. And he was a long time ago, and that's Cleveland. So keep the Cleveland card in mind. And then we have Babe Ruth, and basketball, we have what many people say is Michael Jordan. And before him, it was Kareem or Wilt, depending on who you ask. So if we go to basketball and people want to make the argument, you hear, oh, this guy was trash. This guy was a plumber. This guy was a fireman. This guy was a janitor. Like people call John Stockton a janitor. It it's despicable. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It can be because sometimes where these they just come up with these names. Like, do they really understand how the game goes? Like, do they really understand the full fundamentals of the game?
And it evolutionized so much. Like there was a time where in basketball, guys only dribbled with one hand.
Yeah, every player is unique in his or her own way, and that goes in any sport.
Like for instance, at one point, the best point guard of all time, he was mentioned basically rebirthed because of JJ Redick. Bob Cousy used to be the
Hmm.
best point guard of all time. And if you look at every single year as a Boston Celtic, he was an All Star, retired number, Hall of Famer. He what 7 years? He comes back. He plays a couple games for the Kings, and he's perfect from the free throw line. Like that, throw some respect on the name. Like, come on. But when you go further, right now, Jim Brown played decades ago. Michael Jordan, in comparison, played yesterday. So why is it that Michael Jordan played against plumbers and firemen? And that's what a lot of Cleveland fans say. Like, if you're a Cavaliers fan, you're one of those guys that says Michael Jordan played against plumbers. Okay, then. Well, who did Jim Brown play against?
And they don't know. And you ask them that, they don't know.
The unemployed people from the Great Depression and off duty firefighters?
Yeah,
Come on, man.
because Jim Brown was in the 50s, right, around that time.
So here's one. Oh, what? The veterans that were out of jobs? Like, come on.
Yeah.
So if you go to baseball, because you've noticed that the pitching's been so advanced and the hitters can't keep up. We're saying why are guys striking out so much? But it's like if you go to the film, no matter what, of course it's pitcher advantage. You have some guys that have had brilliant years, and it's just like throw this guy this pitch. Like the percentages of them, everything from average on base, it's going down. But yet, we go to Babe Ruth and everyone's like, oh, he did it off beer and hot dogs. Okay. They used to spit tobacco juice on the ball. That's why the old balls that you see are brown, is because it's all tobacco spit. It was an old technique, so they couldn't see the ball when you threw it to him. One guy actually didn't see the ball. He got hit in the head and he died. True story.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I think it was a third baseman, hot corner. And obviously nobody knew what the hell a concussion was back then in his time.
Especially,
100 years ago. A concussion was a bad headache and you go to sleep with a steak on your forehead. Like those 100 years ago, you know?
And then I suppose if the guy is found dead, they declare the steak was just bad.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like, what cow did you grow to contaminate this man in my household?
Yeah. The baseball in the yesteryears, it's a whole different world than it is today.
Correct.
I think the baseball we saw back then is probably the baseball we'd rather have.
You know, I'm not sure about that, because at the end of the day, it was like, hey, if you want to have a beer before a game, go for it. Like, I think a lot of it goes between, like, everyone's committed now more than they were back then. Some people think it was grief. Now, my thought is, right, back then they had a lot more rest because you're not constantly working at the gym. You're not constantly watching film. You're not constantly trying to, you know, it's like, hey, instead of resting more, you hop in a jacuzzi for a half hour. Like, all these techniques, something's got to give. Not only that, but anyone will tell you scientifically the resources now from, you know, your food, your soil, your everything you consume is not as good as it was back then.
No.
It's like they did on beer, hot dogs, candy. It's like, hey, I woke up to chipped beef and scotch, had myself 2 burgers for lunch, and had me some rare steak and, a glass of wine for dinner. Like, not a lot of vegetables, not a lot of fruits like back then. You could drink at 8 a.m. It's normal. It's like if you did that nowadays, the guy's going to be overweight. He's going to miss the ball if he's at the plate, and people are going to call him a bum. He's going to be on the shuttle. He's going to be they call it the quadruple A player. As in the major leagues can't perform, triple A is above expectations.
I mean, honestly, I don't even know how I could probably even play baseball eating that kind of food before a game. Because for Babe Ruth, there was one time there was something known as the bellyache heard around the world because he was binging on hot dogs and soda before games. Because at one point, Babe Ruth was pretty big. I mean, he was still able to hit, but it did affect his ability to trot around the bases and everything like that.
Well, my thought was, I'm not sure how much you know. How much do you know Pablo Sandoval?
Oh, former San Francisco Giant great, had a time in Boston, and there was that time where he swung, and then I think his belt just broke off.
His belt exploded. So here's the deal. The Giants were rebuilding. The dynasty was over. He signed a 5-year, I want to say $85 million contract with them. I think it was like $488 something. During that World Series team, him, Hanley Ramirez, and Castillo, that guy that was signed to like one of those international contracts, but the head coach is like, the manager's like, we're not sacrificing a roster spot for it. So essentially $50 million of the payroll was not on that World Series team. They were traded away or released, or in one case, in the minors. They did not play a single game, a single inning in that series. Any of the playoffs. $50 million in payroll combined. Which, I mean, that's baseball. That's not basketball. Because basketball, that could be 2 or 3 guys. Baseball, $50 million. I mean, got 22 other spots, man. Like, that's nuts.
Baseball always has the sophisticated deals. Like, the deals are a whole lot different. Like, I think most of the money is guaranteed.
All the money is guaranteed
unless
you go. So it's like if you sign up for $88 million, That's all guaranteed, unless you throw incentives in there that are bonuses. Like there's some of them where it's like, hey, if you win MVP, here's a bonus. You know, injury list free, that kind of thing. And when they are on the IL, insurance pays like 70% of the contract while they're out. Makes it a
Yes, like
little
you
bit
said, it's
easier for
guaranteed.
teams.
Yeah, and no, I mean the base salaries, and then there's sometimes bonuses and everything like that. And of course, what people don't understand, like you sign an $8 million deal. That's you're not getting the exact amount. There's the taxes, there's the medical like shit that they take out. There's all those loopholes. I mean, I'm
Well, I
sure.
mean,
I'm sure when they declare it, whatever. I mean, I doubt they get it back because of their salary, but I'm pretty
well,
sure
I
the
mean,
taxes are already
it's
taken
the,
out. So
it's the same thing for me and you. It's like if we work a salary job, it's this.
yeah.
Then benefits, then taxes, then state taxes. I mean, you got everything. Like, I used to pay New York taxes, and I'll say this: I don't own a goddamn thing in the state of New York. So last year, I working back in Connecticut again. In the state of New York, the most expensive thing I ever owned was a friggin' pizza, and all I got back was like $35.
Wow.
So imagine those people with houses. If you have a car, if you have anything. Heck, you're going to probably start getting charged taxes for a storage unit that you rent.
You get taxed out of anything now.
It's getting down to that point. But
Yeah.
outside the politics, yeah, Pablo Sandoval, that guy exploded. And there was one time where he was hit on the injured list. And what happened was apparently one was like a bad ear infection, and one of them was so he could shed a couple of pounds.
Yeah, that was definitely one of them. Yeah, he was actually working at the Red Sox facility, I believe, in Fort Myers. Where yeah, he shed down 15 pounds.
I mean, it looked like he gained 30 pounds over the offseason. And I'm not sure if you've heard about do you know what happened with the Yankee and Mariner trade for it was Michael Pineda and I think it was I forget the guy's first name is the guy's last name was Montero.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember too much about it. But I know I know what you're talking
So
about.
I follow it because I'm a Yankee fan. This guy gained 60 pounds in one off season.
Jeez.
So I'm not sure what the hell happened because there's no playoffs for him. So between October and pitchers and catchers got to arrive early, he arrived middle of February and they looked and they said, holy shit. As you can imagine, it got bad because the fat jokes never stopped, all that. A scout asked him if he wanted an ice cream cone. He threatened him with a bat. He got suspended. It was crazy. And I don't know any other sport where you could get away with that. Like there's some guys that have, I think James Harden and has gotten away with weight issues. Albert Hainsworth, you remember that guy? He got away with it.
But that's considered the biggest free agency bust in history.
Free agency bust in history.
Signed with the Washington Commanders.
Yes.
And then arrived. I remember he arrived at training camp in poor shape. Then he immediately just started. Yeah, things just went immediately downhill. Because
it's one of them. Not sure if it's the worst or not.
Well, it's definitely up there, one of them, but it's in the top 5. It's all arguable, but
absolutely. As far as free agencies, I mean, wow. That's got to be up there because I think it was like what was it? 6 years, $100 million or $95 million for 6 years at the time.
It was definitely somewhere around there. Actually, I got it. I can actually pull it up right now. Pablo Sandoval, by the way, is still playing down. He's playing international now, but I think basically signing the MLB is finished, but he's still playing.
Well, it comes down to a point where it goes.
It was 7 years, $100 million.
7 years, $100 million.
Yep.
Not as bad dollar amount wise as I thought, but still, just ugh.
And the deal was $41 million guaranteed, and it could have gone up to $150 million if the incentives were all met.
Okay. Okay. Kind of different.
And he snubbed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in favor of Washington too.
Yeah. I don't know. Albert Hainsworth has turned himself into a plumber.
I mean, he was always he was a player though who had a temper, obviously. I mean, there's that stomping incident, and I think there's times that he would get in fights with teammates at practice.
Well, in all fairness, Ndamukong Suh,
Yeah.
not a well-liked guy everywhere he went. And that guy's reputation was dirty for a few years. Got signed in Miami, sucked, got traded away, turned around his career. A Super Bowl appearance here, Super Bowl appearance there. I mean, proof's there that he's got it.
No doubt about it.
Not going to say elite, but just the talent was there. It can be there, but I mean, it goes by natural talent and, of course, giving a shit. And Plumbers and Firemen detachment is just getting worse. I mean, it's starting to just make less sense with time. Going into it, since we're talking big sports, let's get this topic out of the way. I've been researching, and I've been researching hard, the worst jerseys in history. So we found the 25 worst of all time. We've had a 50 list of all time. And to put it bluntly, there's some jerseys that actually shouldn't make this list. Like, for instance, the purple and red Raptor dribbling the basketball Raptors, the one Vince Carter won the dunk contest in. Some people think of those as ugly, and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, stuff like that, I just don't understand. Like, when you say the Canadians, when they had colored stripes that were horizontal, ugly.
Yeah, the one, and I think that the Canadians had the 2001 uniform is what you're referring to.
Yes. The Atlanta Hawks with the hawk carrying the basketball in its talons. I don't consider any of those ugly.
Sometimes you got so a lot of them. Yeah, of course you have the logo with the basketball. Yeah, it makes sense. Like, you got to make the most out of the uniform. Like, it's got to fit the environment, and like the environment of the team, and the logo, the mascot, and everything. It's got to fit the history and the environment of that particular city.
Yes, although I don't think of it as stripes. Now, there's a lot of ugly ones that have made this list, and some of them were like, hey, these are in 1932, or, better yet, it's like, I'm going to share my screen so we could actually show this. This is via Bleacher Report. So if we go here, this is ugly as sin.
Oh.
It's the 70s.
I'm actually surprised it lasted 3 years. 70, 71, 72.
Yeah. The Washington Bullets. Okay, the stripes is not bad, but...
Yeah, the stripes is not bad, but...
It's just that when you match the star shorts with it, it's a little funky. Yeah, like, you see, these shouldn't make it, in my opinion. This, wretched.
Oh, that's... Is this even... Is that... All it says is Chicago. I mean... This is lazy. This is pure laziness right there. It just says Chicago.
The reason why this is bad is because it's the shorts. If you gave them pants, this would be better.
Yeah.
Now, the Knicks, I always throw shade on the Knicks. You can't have the number in two places. I'm sorry. You can't do it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Is that the Yankees logo? That looks like the Yankees logo.
It does. And this is a Knicks jersey that they went on for 4 seasons.
Oh, boy.
The Padres, that's a pick and choose. I won't get into that. The creamsicles, you like it or you don't. But again, 70s. I didn't use them too much in the 90s, not that I remember. The Canucks, this is wretched. Once again, 70s and 80s. This isn't that bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah.
It's just that when the city is black and yellow, the black and gold. So what? You don't like the stripes on the hat? It's not anything funky. These, I think there's much worse. So this is Bleacher Report's worse. But to me, I think all these say hold my beer simply because, well, damn, man.
Oh.
Okay, so hold on. The top is going to be regular rotation. I'm sorry, but if you look at some of the creations the fans have been making online, you see, when you made the announcement back then in the 70s, nobody could say, hey, I'm making my own jersey and I'm going to make an embarrassment out of you. Now we can do that with Photoshop. They did it to the Rams. They did it to the Chargers. They've done it to a lot of teams. And with the Jazz, it's embarrassing that you're paying a guy a lot of money when there's a lot of fan-made jerseys that are better than this, that cooperate that yellow, black, and the white. You try to move to Pittsburgh, and even Pittsburgh would never use the neon yellow.
I mean, the uniform's on top. I'm just like,
no. If you look at the jerseys on the bottom, those are some of the best jerseys in the league if you go by full rotation.
Definitely. I mean, it's
those four jerseys are some of the
creativity.
One of the best rotations in the NBA. One of the best. They're just clean. They stay out. I mean, I'm a little biased towards my Pacer uniforms myself, but I mean, I give credit where it's due. You got a color palette of white, blue, and gold. You got a little fancy with the City Edition uniform. You gave it a little bit of color. That's nice. But you go up top and I hope that they do something with the shorts, man, because if you have all neon yellow, let's say hypothetically Donovan Mitchell comes out with a shoe and it's purple. How the hell are you going to see his shoes when you're going to see this ugly-ass neon jersey? Dude, I work in a place where I got to wear neon green because I'm in a dangerous environment. It's more appealing than this garbage.
No doubt about that. I mean, I don't even know if the shoes will even match.
They wouldn't. Most shoes will not match this. I mean, this looks like it's out of Rec League. This looks like create a team in a 2000s NBA game. What a disgrace. What an absolute disgrace. What an absolute flop. Wretched.
Totally wretched. I mean, back in the day, I would imagine you would be arrested for even making a mockery out of this situation.
Oh my goodness, I can't imagine that. Where's Jim Leland when you need one? There was this one time where I heard that the pitchers were joking around in the dugout. They lost the game like 20-4 or something. And Jim Leland is like smoking cigarettes in a dugout. He's pissed off. And he's going, I swear to God, if you pitchers that are not playing today are going to talk shit or you're going to joke around while we watch us get killed. And he's like, walks away, kicks the cooler and goes back. And one more thing. Does that like a couple more times. I forgot what pitcher said what happened. But eventually it got to the fifth time he came back and he goes, fellas, I'm going to my office. I'm going to grab me a whiskey and a cigar. And if I come back and if all of you are still here, any of you, I'm calling the police and saying that there's men in this locker room impersonating ball players. He said half the guys didn't shower and got the hell out of there.
What year was this? Well,
Early to mid 2000s Tigers. They were not good teams during that time.
no, they were, but Jim Leland, regardless, is a legend in baseball.
Oh yes, gotta love Jim Leland.
I mean, I remember that Yankees manager. There was a funny ejection. Yankees manager comes out like he moved his ball cap like that, so cause when he was going to confront the umpire.
Was it Girardi?
I'm not sure if it was Girardi. No, it was back. I'm not sure when it was, but it was. I just
Billy
remember.
Martin.
I think it was Billy Martin. He just he his ball
Yeah,
cap
Billy Martin kicked dirt on guys. Billy Martin kicked dirt on guys. Like, hey, I remember Joe Girardi like kicked dirt over home plate. Aaron Boone clapping his hands. Change your stuff. Like, whatever. I remember when he got home plate, he's like, this right here is a strike. This right here is not a strike. Get together.
Sometimes basically managers feel like they got to tell umpires how the game goes.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, right? If the umpire is having a bad day, and it depends. Like like I saw the other day where it looked like 2 inches over any part of the zone was going to be called a strike on anybody. Didn't matter if you were Aaron Judge. Didn't matter if you were somebody that was 5'10" instead of 6'7". That zone was 2 inches bigger in every diameter, except maybe diagonally low. But it's like I've seen it 2 inches inside called strike, 2 inches outside called strike, and it was going on for both sides. But if you think that you're getting screwed and it's starting to get late in the innings, you got to see if you can fire up your guys, particularly if it's offensive. Like if you think the ball's on getting close to the ground, you go out there, you fire your guys up, and you watch the rest in the clubhouse. It's just how the mentality goes.
Oh, big time. I'll be honest, seeing managers confront umpires, I'll be honest, it's entertaining.
It really is, and this is just me. I mean, I had one guy tell me off in a very derogatory manner, but it's nice when we go to the replay and they say, hey, get the headphones on, and then they're obviously waiting for a guy in the New York studio at MLB to give him the call or not. And just like football challenges, there's got to be significant enough evidence. Like if it's too close to call, they can't overturn it. Otherwise, it stays. But when they're done, I like that they have microphones to, you sell the call. But I'm thinking to myself, right? If you're a person in the stands, doesn't matter if you're in the bleachers, doesn't matter if you're behind home plate. So there's some times where you want to know, like if you throw somebody out of a game, if you go to a basketball challenge, they'll get on the microphone and they'll rule it in. NFL, they'll say number 51 of the away team is ejected from this contest. I said, why can't MLB players do that if they eject somebody? It's like, hey, wait for it to be over. The crowd's fired. The crowd doesn't know what's going on, or they're a little fired up. And then you hear number so-and-so is ejected from this contest. You hear the cries, the boos, and you keep it going.
Yeah.
You just want that intensity. And some people are like, oh, what do you need that stupid thing for? It's unnecessary. And I'm like, listen, man, everyone's trying to change the game for worse. Like, I don't want pitch clock. I don't want any of this, right? Like, if you just want to call it down the line for every sport, right? There's people that don't watch baseball and they're football and basketball fans, and they just want to say, oh, baseball needs this. But it's like, if you're not going to watch anyway, I don't care what you say. You know what I mean?
You don't even watch. If you don't even watch, then
Well,
what do you have to say? What do you have to say that's relevant?
The best. So about the pitch clock, right? Here's an idea. It doesn't matter if it's MLB. Doesn't matter. This was the perfect example I had. Doesn't matter if it's the LIV or the PGA, right? Hey, Alex, you a golf guy?
No.
I didn't think so. But you've probably seen how they approach when they go to the tee box or when they got to make their shot. So if it's going to be 15 seconds to deliver a pitch, no matter the circumstance, doesn't matter if it's a tie game, a blowout, whatever, I'm kind of just thinking to myself, right? Golf is a quiet game. Some people can't watch it. But I know one thing's for sure. I remember as a kid, there'd be times where these golfers spend like 5 minutes just trying to read the wind and the grass. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what if, right? What happens if the PGA said, starting 2025, you have 15 seconds combined time, as in you could look, stop the clock. I got this because of Golf for Friends, the game online. Just some fun mini golf, that's all it is. What if a golfer was only allowed 15 seconds to read the green? Could you imagine the outcry? I can't believe you're going to do this to me right away. Hey, it's 2005, buddy. You have 2.5 years to do it. They'd be like, this is an outrage. Oh, yeah, and by the way, it's 60 seconds now because you take 5 minutes today. Like, there would be an outrage. There would be an outcry.
There'll be protests, yeah.
Exactly. So the main thing the reason why I decided to podcast baseball was not only to spread knowledge and ideas, but also to help the game going, because there's different generations of baseball. There's the ones that don't want to change. There's the ones that are vaguely interested. There's people that aren't interested at all. There's people that are like me that are really into it and they try and watch as much as they can. There's people that watch it daily, and there's casual fans. But then there's these people where it's like, yeah, they'll be at a baseball game, but they bring their iPad to the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, for those people, right? It's like, listen, stop trying to change the game. You got to think. You got to focus. You got to strategize. I mean, for crying out loud, it's like the USFL. You know how many times I've seen them not throw the flag for delay of game penalties?
I can't. I tried watching it, but I just can't. I'm like, I'm gonna go insane.
I could watch it casually, but I can't prepare myself the way I do for NFL Sunday. Like, I can't put my jersey on. I can't be ordering wings. I can't be doing all hands on deck. The game's on. Here's kickoff. I can't do that right now for the USFL. The rule changes they got going on in the first and third quarter. Because of the TV time slot to keep it under 3 hours, they said, oh yeah, by the way, in the first and third quarter, it's running clock if there's an incompletion or if you run out of bounds. Like, what the hell's that?
It wouldn't make any sense.
It wouldn't make sense in the NFL. There'd be
you want to talk about outrage? I mean, you're gonna have riots because of that.
Exactly. So when we talk about,
especially from those tougher fan bases.
Correct. So what I'm saying is, when people want to change the game, and I understand the NFL is changing the game every year, the fact that baseball goes like this, it's like, listen, Rob Manfred, it seems like he doesn't care about baseball.
Oh, he does not give a shit about baseball. The dude's a fraud.
He is a fraud.
He's a criminal. He allowed a team to get away with cheating. He gives them a light punishment. It's pathetic. And I'm from the state of Texas, so yeah, what Houston did. First, for the record, I never liked the Astros. I'm not even a Rangers fan. I just love the game of baseball. Although I do have a Rangers podcast, but that's just to add more work. But what Houston did, and those goddamn Astro fans are proud of it. Like, you besmirch the good name of the state of Texas, because when our teams win titles, it brings pride to our state. And then Houston cheats, gets away with it, and the fans bragged about it. Unbelievable. Like, you didn't win the title. and then the city of LA starts to go like, the title should be handed to us. Like, you know what? The city of Los Angeles, not to get political, don't you have more shit to worry about than the goddamn World Series titles? I mean, for God's sake, your city's infested with crime, homelessness. The city of LA is a shithole, just like the city of San Francisco. So I would tell the city of LA, Stop saying the title should be given to you. You have more shit to worry about. See, these are the rants that I go on. Yeah, go on those Houston fans that are proud of what their team did. I'm like, yeah, you call yourself, you say you love this state. The fact that you're bragging about it, yeah, the state's embarrassed because of this shit. You think it's funny?
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was absolutely beautiful. Now, do I think they get screwed? Yes, but also my Yankees got screwed too.
They did.
Out of a World Series appearance, out of an MVP, possibly Silver Sluggers as well.
Yeah.
And Alex Bregman, it was a sophomore year win that World Series. He claims he didn't cheat, but if you look at his numbers now, apparently he can't hit sinkers, and he's been on a downward trend. Ever since 2020, it's just been a lower trend. Now, not horrible, but not the all-star caliber that he potentially has. And everyone's just thrown at him a certain way until he figures it out, and now it seems like he's trying too hard and he's in his head.
Yeah. Hey, could you give me a second? I got there's a gardener knocking my door. I just gotta go pay him. I'll be right back.
All right, go for it.
All right, right back.
Out of all the rants that we've had on the podcast so far, that one has been by far, I think, the most hilarious. I mean, how else can I put it? This is just... Oh, man. Alex is just so good. He just is. I mean, the way that things are going, he's just one of the most brilliant-minded guys ever. You want to talk to him about the football, the Dallas Cowboys. This man is a Texas native. He is an absolute hard ass, and he will die on this hill for good takes. He admits when he's wrong, but he's got the brains. He just does. Oh, man. Gonna go for the Texas Rangers for him at the moment. I mean, this is just getting good right here.
Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. So, we're going to dive into some Texas Rangers baseball for a bit.
Oh, boy.
So you say, oh, boy, right? But the Angels looked like they were second place in this division. And then, whether if you fired Joe Madden or not, it looked like every single aspect of this team, including two MVP players in Ohtani and Trout, they were in the deepest slumps of their careers, and everybody learned. It's like they didn't know how to play baseball anymore. Mind you, their run differential is still in the green, where everybody else, right? The run differential for the Astros is plus 49. The Rangers, it's minus 2. The Angels, it's plus 4. The Mariners, it's minus 14. And for the A's, it's minus 92.
Sometimes now all of a sudden I'm asking myself,
which is top 3 worse than the American League.
Is the AL West like the new NFC least?
I actually thought about that for a moment, and to be completely honest with you, if you look at the Pirates, the Cubs, and the Reds, I think they're equally mediocre, because the Reds, they seem to learn how to play ball again. If I had to go by the NFC least, I mean, it's starting to look like that now. Yes, the AL West. I mean, Houston's basically the winner at the moment, and if you look at their track record of World Series appearances, how they've done well in the playoffs, still the depth in the pitching, the lineup. But if you look at it as of right now, this is June 16th. This is, it's 2 months into baseball. This team is second place in the division. Did you think it would be there at any point during this time of the year?
Absolutely not. But the Rangers have lost too many games lately that they could have won. They should have won Game 2 against Houston in this recent series, but they choked it up in the freaking eighth inning. But the fact that the Rangers are in second place and I think they're a full game ahead of the LA Angels. Yeah, because the Angels are 10 and a half games back, while the Rangers are 9.5. So that's a one full game, and they're unfortunately, yeah. And I've even said on my Rangers podcast that there's a chance for a wild card berth, but the Rangers have to keep winning games.
Yes. So, is there any surprises so far this year?
Well, the fact that the pitching is not the biggest problem for the Rangers, that's actually the biggest surprise. I thought the pitching would be the problem, but it's actually been the hitting. Marcus Semien he's had some good moments, but he's not in the groove yet. But I think sometimes when you go to a new team, you sign a big deal. I guess sometimes you don't know that you're going to start you don't know how it's going to start. But so I'm not worried about Semien. Okay, I'm worried, but I'm not worried long term. But
so, here's something funny, and I wanted to talk to you about this, and I know you're not, I guess you're not dedicated to the Rangers like I'm dedicated to the Yankees.
I mean, I do love the Rangers. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not a diehard fan. I just love the game at the end of the day.
So you're a Rangers fan, but you're not as much as a diehard as other guys.
No,
which is okay.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Because they're my hometown team, and when I was 11 years old, I did win an essay contest at school. My prize were 2 tickets to a game. So yeah, so obviously the Rangers always have a special spot in my heart. They drove me insane in 2011 because they were one strike away twice and they didn't win the freaking World Series. I'll never get over that until they win the World Series, which will probably never happen, at least not for the next 10 years. But I still do like the Rangers. I'll go to a game every now and then. They have a new ballpark. It's air conditioned. The roof closes, which is good because the summers here in Texas are brutal.
Which I am a fan of. There's only one thing I'm not a fan about for the new park. It's like if you're the Rangers, you built this team to hit home runs. Why is your ballpark the biggest in MLB?
I mean, I'm actually surprised. The fact that the Rangers don't even have a winning culture, but they can afford to build a big stadium, sign. Of course, there's no salary cap, so you can pretty much sign whoever you want, but that can bite you in the ass. But yeah, it does surprise me. The Rangers don't have a winning culture. They've been trashed for the past 5 years. And they still have the team can still actually build a freaking stadium. I mean, I've been in the new stadium. It is nice. I mean,
it's all tax dollars at the end of the day, but still.
Yeah, it's tax dollars. Yeah.
But here's what I found very surprising. There was a time where Marcus Semien couldn't hit his weight, and we saw Corey Seager get intentionally walked with the bases loaded.
Yeah, I remember it was against the Angels, ironically.
Yes, Joe Madden walked him with the bases loaded because he goes, this guy is 300. I think he was 340 with the bases loaded for his career.
Yeah.
But you want to know something that's very odd? June 16th, 2022. Watch what I'm about to show you. And I'm about to show everybody in this audience this. Look at this. 1 hit difference. Both 22 walks, both 46 strikeouts, both batting .224. That's crazy.
It is.
They got the same batting average, same amount of strikeouts, same amount of walks. Now listen, no matter what, every hitter is going to average around 100 strikeouts a year. That's how it goes. The walk count, every walk count could be better, but this isn't terrible. You kind of want it to be around half. That's about half. But obviously, they're just not hitting the ball, finding the outfield grass, on base. Again, it's that 1 game difference.
It's part of the reason why the batting has been the problem. I mean, they're not scoring runs. The pitching is going to have bad days in the office, but when the pitching does its job to the best of the ability, but the offense can't do anything, it's not going to win you the game.
But if you look at Martin Perez is in the lead for, or at least was for a little bit, for the Cy Young. 12 starts, an ERA just below 2.2. It's 2.18 in 12
He's actually
starts.
probably been the biggest surprise,
One
honestly,
complete
of the
game
season.
shutout.
Right?
12 starts, 74 plus innings.
See, and I got to take responsibility
pitched.
because I didn't have any faith in him coming this season. At least not the faith in the world. I figured, okay, he's probably going to be maybe 6-6 or 10-10. It's probably just, he's at this point of his career, but he started off 0-2, but I think he hasn't. I'm not sure. I think he was on a winning streak. I'm not sure exactly how long the winning streak was, but he did go on a winning streak. But he did get several no decisions. But Perez has been on fire.
Not only that, but Matt Morse finally turned the corner as a relief pitcher. I mean, I remember when this guy was Rookie of the Year, he got hurt and he never found it again. They're like, oh, we're going to pull him in the bullpen. Yeah, Matt Moore has finally, we thought he was going to hang it up or get minor league deals. No, he's actually been decent. Brock Burke, can't complain.
The Rangers bullpen is a whole lot better than I thought. A whole lot better. And
It's got depth to it.
Yeah, it's got depth to it. So maybe this season could finally be another turnaround for the Rangers. I mean, they're in second place right now, but who knows if that can last? Because the Rangers, if they can't keep winning series, then it's definitely not going to last. They start a 4-game series, I believe, today against the Detroit Tigers. But at that point, I said to myself, it's make or break for manager Chris Woodward, But
he's not respected in MLB at all.
No, he's not.
I mean, I think he just flat out keeps making an ass out of himself.
Yeah.
The Tatis thing, the Aaron Boone thing with Gleyber Torres. I mean, it keeps going on and on. And listen, do I think he's a good manager? No. But is he proven himself substantial this year? Yes.
Yeah.
The only thing that I could say is about what I expected is John Gray. I mean, he's just a depth guy to eat innings. 10 starts, 52 innings, averaging just about 5 innings a start. I mean, you expected it from that guy. That's what you signed him for. And
he's been playing a whole lot better. He's been able to stay healthy, but sometimes he'll play to the best of his ability, but then the bullpen might mess it up, or the hitting can't produce the scoring runs. So that's why it's solidifying. The pitching has not been the problem. It's been the hitting. But the pitching obviously is going to have bad days in the office. Like I said, the pitching is not going to be perfect. But the biggest surprise is that the pitching is a whole lot better than I could have ever anticipated. Now, I got to take responsibility for it.
I mean, you could call it however it is. I mean, however it may be, this team, I mean, it's not great, but it's functional.
It's functional.
I guess
but
that's the word to put this team. Functional.
Yeah. They're just still not able to win when they're supposed to. Like, they're still coughing up games that they should have won.
Yes. Pardon me.
Yeah, no problem.
All good, thankfully.
Good.
Well, back to the Rangers. I think this is going to be decent, but I mean, going into the division, there's one thing I got to ask you about, and I'll start off with Baltimore later. But the Oakland A's, they're one of the only teams talking about right now relocation, and in particular, this Oakland is not funding anybody a stadium because everyone's just like, oh, don't do your third team dirty. Well, the problem is if you go by, again, it goes down to politics no matter what. No matter what, you cannot avoid 100% of politics. And we tried to do our best. Me and you try to do our best. But when we talk about relocation, why, I don't want some old guy being like, oh, keep the politics out of sport. Really? Does nobody remember when somebody tried to burn the American flag in center field at Dodger Stadium and the center fielder grabbed it for America?
Yeah, I don't remember when was that, by the way? When was that?
I want to say the 60s.
Okay.
I don't know the full details, but I remember that happened. Baseball's always been surrounded by politics, and people want to forget that, and that's because they were blind to it. That's just the bottom line. But here, I think it's a little different because Oakland, they said, listen, we are not spending our tax dollars on a new stadium. Point blank. They're not doing it for the Warriors. They said kick rocks. They're not doing it for the Raiders. They said kick rocks. Now, you want to do it for the baseball team that doesn't put effort in their team? Now, granted, this team's making money, but if you look at it, do you know anything that's going on with the protest right now?
With the Oakland A's?
Yes.
From what I understand, yeah. I mean, fans are pissed off.
Yes.
They're fed up. I mean,
yes.
There's no winning. I mean, I'd say there's no winning culture here in the Rangers. I mean, Oakland is even worse. And Oakland, the Athletics were a team at one point that were actually good, when they won 3 straight World Series in the 1970s, and then they swept the San Francisco Giants in 1989 when there was that earthquake.
Yes. So
at one point, the Athletics, to their credit, they do have numerous World Series. I mean, especially back when they were in Philadelphia. I'm not sure if they were still the Athletics, but they were one time in Philadelphia. But
I think that was much before, but yes.
That was way before. I think that's probably even before the times of that was way before Babe Ruth emerged on the scene. So yeah, we're talking like 100 years ago, like way over 100 years ago. But I don't blame them. But if I'm an Oakland Athletics fan, if the Athletics were to move like out of the state of California, depending on where they go, I would actually see that's fine. That's fine with me. Number one, no disrespect to people who live in Oakland, but I've seen Oakland, but I've never been there. But every person I've spoken to that's from or has lived in Oakland, they all say the same thing about the city. You know what they say? That the city is a shithole. Okay, and the whole thing with the taxes, like, well, you know what? That's California for you. So again, the fact that sometimes we're forced to bring this. We're forced to bring the politics to it. I don't want to, but
so California. If we go by just if we take out California out of the equation and just go Oakland, right? Let's just go Oakland here. Oakland said, listen, because we know what these stadiums cost. These are going to be, if you were to make a stadium for, the Warriors or the Raiders, how is the city of Oakland, with everything that's in shambles, with everything that's not as good as other cities in that state? Not saying it needs to be Anaheim. Not saying you need to build something similar to formerly the Staples Center, now the Crypto.com Arena. Not saying it has to be that. But when you go to a place that is not doing well, like Atlanta had 2 stadiums, but guess what? They had a hard time paying their police and fire department. But guess what? They're earning it back, and they're putting butts in seats. Before, there was a time where they had good teams, but they weren't putting butts in seats.
Yeah, if you can't put butts in the seats, you're not selling tickets. You're not going to profit.
Correct. And now, if you think about it, right, even if they did, how is the city going to benefit outside raising the cost of living and filling up parking garages? Then how the heck is Oakland going to come up with, I'm assuming, in the realm of $2 to $3 billion?
They won't.
For all 3 sports, could they come up with one of them? Let's say in the perfect world, it's like, hey, we could take $5 billion and make a baseball combined football field for our Raiders and the Athletics. They would say, no. How are we going to come up with it? It's not best for the best interest of the people in the city, etc., etc. So when you look at the ballpark, I'm okay with Oakland not giving them a stadium, actually. Listen, if Tropicana Field didn't exist, the A's have the worst stadium in baseball. It's just how it goes. The fact that there's no bullpens, the field is too big, All of it. It's just too outdated. It doesn't have the life that all the old stadiums do, like Fenway, like Wrigley, and some fans say that it's updated and it's crap. But if you have a decent seat, it still has that character to it.
Yeah.
The A's don't seem to have that anymore. And if you do move to Vegas, guess what? How are you going to be a penny pinching Vegas team? And the time that when you have good depth and good, you traded well, developed well, it's like, listen, sign 2 guys. And baseball is not a sport where you take the best available like it's the NFL draft or free agency. It's not.
No.
You can't just say, hey, I'm taking the best available. Sign the first baseman to a 5-year deal and we'll trade this guy to Tampa. You can't do that. You can't.
Right now, I'd imagine it's tough for Oakland to even be even able to sign a world-class free agent. I mean, do you really would a player really want to go to Oakland and play for a team that came and put butts in the seats? A city that's like
right.
A city with a bad reputation. I mean, I don't mean to knock Oakland, but again, this is what I've been told from people that lived in Oakland. I mean, I do have connections, y'all, and of course, they're moving to the state of Texas, but Oakland. I mean, from my understanding, it's always had issues with crimes, but again, that's the state of California. But
well, I mean, you can say the same thing with the state of New York and Chicago.
Yeah, exactly, because because the Bronx. If I'm not saying New York's to tell me the Bronx is a crime riddled shithole too. I mean, I don't mean to knock the Bronx, but again, that's what I'm told. I mean, I did go to New York. I did visit New York when I was 13, but that was like a long time ago. I would love to actually revisit New York, and I plan on to once my shows get me enough so I can go. But sometimes when a team is in a bad environment, like if fans feel unsafe in if those cities have a reputation of being unsafe, fans are not going to want to go there because they risk their safety. They can get mugged. I mean, who knows what can happen? But
so even if you have this, so there's a couple of things going on, and the main reason why I'm in favor of this protest is simply because, well, it is peaceful. And the last New York Giant game, they said there was a storm, but if you go by football fans, they're crazy. They put their butts in seats. It's -20, and they're like, hey, man, you got a blanket? Yeah, I got an extra blanket. You got an extra hat? Yes, I do. Hey, how do you want your burger cooked? I got brats in the cooler. I got all this. There's people that go there. There's a hurricane warning, and people still go to these events. But enough, that last game of the season, right? What caller came on radio? It's the same way they described it as the Oakland Athletics. Your ticket is already paid for. Save your parking. Eat and drink at home. Sleep in. Save your gas. Don't give them any more money than you want to if you want change. And listen, do I think the Athletics, for the best interest of MLB and fans, the owners need to sell? The Baltimore Orioles, I think, are going to end up selling the team because of the drama going on there, whereas there's 2 brothers, the father in bad health, and the mother being brainwashed by one of the sons. So one of the sons is suing the whole family.
Oh, boy.
Yes. That's what's going on right now in Baltimore. So they're saying, hey, sell the team and have them commit to Camden Yards because there's the rumor about Nashville. There's been the rumor about Nashville, and there's the buy-in for the Nashville Stars for, I want to say, the past 5 years. Dave Dombrowski was a free agent to be part of the Stars, and he could no longer wait, went to the Phillies.
I mean,
and he did the dumb, stupid thing where they did best player available.
The Orioles have been in Baltimore since like the early 1900s, so I really doubt that a relocation would really happen. But yeah, selling the team needs to happen. And everybody's talking about Oakland having to move to Las Vegas. I'm like, look, I last time I was in Vegas, I was probably not. I was 9 years old. I need to go there as an adult to get the full experience of Vegas. Look, Vegas is definitely a popular city in our country. There's no doubt about it. But the problem is Vegas is not a huge city. It's not like Los Angeles. It's not like New York City. It's not like Boston. It's a city, but it's not huge. So having all these baseball teams might be extremely tough. I mean, you got to weigh out the options. I mean, if it could work, then fine. I guess go for it. But, now that Vegas has a hockey team and a football team, now they're really starting to fight the urge. It needs a baseball team. It needs a hockey team. It needs a baseball team. Excuse me. Like, look, I get it. It's Vegas. We want to make Vegas bigger because Vegas is an attraction. Excuse me. I'm so excited and the adrenaline's killing me. But you can't just move it to Vegas because it's Vegas. Like, remember, Vegas is not as big as everyone likes to say it is. I mean, it's got all the casinos and everything, but it's the space and everything. Like, you gotta weigh out the options. You don't want to just make the decision just like that.
So the main reason it came down to Vegas, San Jose was vetoed out because there was a conflict of interest with the Giants. Portland was deemed not for MLB. Vegas seemed to be attracted to there, and it comes down to, can you make a professional indoor venue? But the main trouble that I have is, obviously Vegas can do it, and they do have the money, unlike most. There's not many cities that have money like that.
Yeah.
Very one of the few in the world. But again, this is what happens when you have casinos and, you have nightclubs. I mean, heck, James Harden was at a Vegas nightclub, and I think just to get a bucket of ice and water in it was like $100. The guy's buying them and not making them.
But yeah,
James Harden I think buckets doesn't make him anymore. But to finish what I was saying, they could make an indoor facility air conditioned and build a giant parking garage. It's like, okay, you're gonna put how many butts do you need to fill up? $45,000 to $50,000 because of obviously what happens if like imagine if you're hosting a playoff game.
Yeah.
Like the NBA is talking about moving to Vegas, as an expansion team. If you just look at everything going forward, I mean, it's there. So there's a time where you might just be able to see, hey, you know what? We're going to have this facility, possibly two facilities. Vegas has the money. There's a way that they could have, a bus go back and forth. Like, could you imagine, like, there being, like, shuttles to the ballpark from the Strip?
It would. And you could. I would definitely imagine tourism would be positively impacted. And again, I do in fact want to go to Vegas.
Destination in America. So the fact that somebody might just be like, "Hey, man, what's going on? You want to go sports gambling? Hey, okay. How about we take the shuttle down to the stadium? It's it's like a 1.5 mile bus drive, and then they have things from the outside. They have slots there. They have sports betting. They got sports bars in there. You have the actual stadium itself. Like, this is revenue that MLB keeps bitching about. The opportunity and everything else, but the one thing that's holding them back. You can't just be a team where it's like, listen, you're 2 free agent signings or trades away from being a serious playoff contender, and you just go, we're going to trade everybody. Cry poverty. If you go look at the movie Moneyball, where the technique's true, yes, but they disregarded the fact that Barry Zito won the Cy Young Award winner. Tim Hudson is a borderline Hall of Famer. He's on the ballot. Mark Mulder was no scrub. Eric Chavez was the best third baseman in baseball, and Miguel Tejada was running for MVP with many respectable names. During that time where they said, crap, we lost Giambi, Damon, and Isringhausen. Oh, the pain. But you recouped them, and you still were able to compete. It's not like the Red Sox losing Ellsbury, Poppy, and Betts. Like, those were more impactful than losing Giambi, Isringhausen, and Damon. They were replaced. The team was stacked. Yeah, the technique is good. It works. But when you cry poverty The system is just flawed. Where can you cry poverty in sports and they can make it work nowadays in the 2020s, Alex?
You cut off for a second. Can you repeat that?
Oh, I'm sorry. So, in the 2020s, what team can cry poverty and make it work to the finals? Who can win it all and cry poverty at the same time?
Honestly, I don't think any of them can. Nobody can.
I'm thinking the same thing.
I mean, the Athletics. You think of the Athletics. I mean, who do they have? I mean, I know they have Elvis Andrews, but Elvis Andrews is at this point of his career. I mean,
Elvis Andrews at this point is just peaked, and he was there for it was a trade. It was a salary dump.
yeah.
And also, reasons like this is why MLB was proposing a salary cap floor. Because you got to have teams like Pittsburgh, Tampa, and Oakland get off their ass and spend.
Yeah, because a lot of teams don't spend.
Correct. As far as the A's, Stephen Piscotty peaked. Sean Manaea got traded. That guy, I think Blackburn, a starting pitcher, he's solid. But there's not much. There's fans that are complaining because at one point this season, there was 4 guys in the lineup trying to get their first hit. That's AAA stuff.
It is, yeah.
It's gruesome. It's disgraceful. It's disappointing.
Yeah, it is. And I'm sure the Athletic fans, I mean, even if the ones that do go to the game, I wouldn't be surprised if they want to wear a paper bag on their heads.
It's tough, man. And what I also found out is there's this, he's a teenager. He's been going to games there, and he said one thing that he's noticed is there's not a lot of facilities open compared to what they used to be. So
Really?
that means, yeah. So all the facilities that would be there at a regular sporting event, like you know how there's like 2 beer taps? Like if there's X amount of beer taps, some of them are not open. So that means because they're going to be like, hey, why would we open this? You know, electrical bill, employee there, whatever. I mean, even that's embarrassing. This bathroom's locked, closed.
They can't even operate. The team is It's not at its full operation mode.
It's not.
So, I mean, money is probably still being made, but really, think about it. The amount they make, it's nothing. So money is really not being made. If they're just making enough to pay the rent or the electric bill and to just pay the players, then there's money not being made at all. If the owners, whatever, can't profit off of it.
You would think. Well, apparently, get this. The only team that did not increase in value, there's only one team that decreased in its value within the year, and that's Baltimore. That's crazy because I thought Oakland would have dipped. But if you look at it, right, before the COVID year, everything as far as the owner's pocket was tripling. Before COVID, when the owners were crying poverty because that's just what the owners do, they were at a really good pace. And COVID put them back, yeah. But if you look at it now, did teams really have to recover? No. The owners may have had to recover, but it is what it is. Yeah, tough times like everybody else.
Exactly.
They can function and they are making money. The TV deals are getting better. Like if you go, and this is the thing that's pissing me off, right? So if you have DirecTV like I do, you should be able to see every single game if you got the pass. But no, it's like, hey, this game's on MLB Network. Okay, fine, I got it. This is on ESPN. Okay. This is on Pix 11. Okay. Channel 5 Main. Okay. I got my New York baseball. But then there's some other stuff there's just going like, oh yeah, by the way, this is only on Peacock and they're starting at 11:30 a.m. What? I don't care if it's East Coast or not. 11:30 for a game? Awful. Awful for the players, everybody. Friday night, I want to watch baseball. Exclusive on Apple TV. So every team is going to have at least one or so games with this, most likely. The revenue is still going up. These TV deals are only getting bigger. And Apple TV is trying to propose a team where instead of buying the full package, you just have to pay for the team you want. As in like, hey, if you got Apple TV, you pay for the Rangers package. And for the whole season, that's it. And that would be pretty sweet on your end. You're just kind of like, hey, I want to watch the Rangers game. All right, Sunday, baby. I paid $50 for the season. Boom. That'd be great. Because the regular package for me would be $200. I think it's like open day package, $200.
Yeah. But with the Rangers being terrible, it's probably not worth the money.
I mean, if it was $50 for a whole season, you got 162 games. And if you take out the exclusives, like 140, that's pretty damn good, man.
Yeah, it is. But unfortunately, in my case, paying for expensive, being ripped off, needing health insurance, overpaying it. I mean, that's a lot of things, that prevent me from getting these packages. But life's just unfair.
Oh, trust me, man. I know how that goes. I mean, again, trying to stay away from politics. I left my old job, and I did a lot of landscaping. And during this time, I would be covered in poison ivy. I would be on a lot of these medications that would make me angry and depressed, all that. And so far, I got nothing. I work waste management. I took a pay cut. I'm not making much. But come July, I'm in the union. Got to get health insurance. It does suck, but it's been part of America now. But either way, the revenue keeps going up for these teams, regardless of how good or bad they are. Well, if you've noticed, what happens if you don't sell jerseys? What happens if, one of their biggest incomes has to be probably lids, right?
Oh, yeah.
How many rappers do you see wrap a baseball hat they rack a baseball hat for a team that's not even good?
You see that a lot, honestly. It's not only for the baseball teams; it's for all the other teams as well. Because they're making those hats, for everything.
Yeah, it's like literally, it's like, hey man, you a Marlins fan? Nah, man, 305. It's like, hey man, are you an A's fan? Nah, man, I'm from Oakland. Okay. It's kind of funny. Like for me, it's like you'll never see me rocking a red Yankee hat. But there's some people that do because of their colors. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like, I don't think that you would see, imagine you would see, like, a red, white, and blue, like, outside 4th of July. Could you imagine seeing, let's say, I don't know, an orange and blue A's hat? Who would rock that if it looks like the Astros?
That concept doesn't even make any sense.
But they do it. Like, I've seen yellow Yankee hats. I've seen them orange. I've seen them in purple.
Oh, it's trying to make a Yankee hat from the New York Mets perspective.
Yeah.
The Battle of New York.
It's crazy, man. Yeah. And crazy enough, I'm pretty sure it's like when you see something like when you see a Rangers Blue Angels hat, it makes as a fan, I can imagine you'd be like, what the hell are you doing? Right?
I'd be like what the hell is this nonsense?
Yeah, like if it's something for like, hey, Father's Day, we're all doing baby blue. Okay. Mother's Day, we're doing pink. Okay. St. Patty's Day, green. Fine. Then it's just, hey, I want a red Oakland A's hat. Huh? Like I've seen like if you have a Braves hat and if it's navy, red, black, or white, fine.
Just
If
the
it's in,
colors, yeah.
if it's in green and it's not St. Patrick's Day, there's no shamrock on it. Off the property, bruv.
Yeah.
In words of Dame Lillard.
Yeah, 'cause I'd like to start collecting more of those hats. You know, like if I visit New York, get a Mets one, get a Yankees one. Just tell them like, no, I'm just collecting the hats because they're
Hold
cool.
on, I got something for you. I had something real good for you.
All right.
Now, these are just some because I got my Kansas City hats, including the Super Bowl win hat. But
Oh wow.
although this one's probably one of my favorites.
The Pacers one, yeah.
This was their last draft hat. It's the 75th year draft hat. Got just a plain Yankee. It's beat up. And this right here was with 47. This is a authentic collab with Carhartt.
Nice.
Limited, but if you're a working man, you love that. And you know, they try and do the draft hats every single year differently. One thing that kind of shocked me, and they all do the same design. It's going to be the logo, and it's going to have, like in this point, it says IND for Indy. This is going to be the same. This is going to be the same thing, but for me, this misses the mark. There's too much going on.
Too much going on, yeah. It's yeah. They should make probably one with each logo. Like if you're gonna use one logo, just put that one. You don't need to put too much on it.
I mean, what happens is every team's going to have that logo right on the, you know, that part of the hat, and then it's like, so if you have the Rockets, is it going to be HOU in red, and then you're going to have like a black or silver, like, I don't know. Those I'm just not a fan.
No.
It sucks because when we go on the show, any sport, and we have to talk about the politics of dress code and fashion, surprisingly, I don't mind this from last year, the City Connect. I don't. It's desert, it makes its point.
Yeah.
But that's like if you go towards like regular jerseys, you know what I mean? I digress. Notice I have the Red Rangers in A tier.
Yeah, I see it.
But if you go by full rotation, I do love the blue uniforms too. The powder blue, regular blue, the red. The Rangers just make the identity is simple, sharp, and it just does the job. It just works for them.
It does.
And it's a good thing that the Astros, I mean, the fan base, I think, is relatively good. They've never been cocky or salty or anything else. And if they were, I would just simply say this as a Rangers fan. I would say, hey, what do the Carolina Panthers and the Texas Rangers have in common? They're named after hockey teams.
Yeah.
Fun fact, people, the Florida Panthers existed a year before the Carolina Panthers. Florida Panthers came first before the Carolina Panthers. How that happened, I don't know. I mean, it's news. People weren't living under a rock. This isn't the early 1900s where there's two cardinals. You can't
Right.
do this. You can't do this anymore. Which is also funny because my girlfriend at the time attended St. Rose Albany School. Their logo was trademarked the Golden Knights. They had a lawsuit because they're in a dire money crisis. They wanted a piece of the pie from the NHL for taking their logo, and they didn't have a foot to stand on. They lost.
Oh, man.
Fun fact. Either way, she's a Rangers fan.
Like a Texas Rangers fan?
That would be no, Go Hockey New York Rangers fan.
Ah, the New York Rangers. Yeah, one of the original six.
Yes. For me, it's Yankees, Pacers, Chiefs, Rangers. For her, it's Yankees, Steeler. Doesn't really follow basketball, then Rangers. I got like a weird mix, which is also funny because I hate James Dolan. Yeah, I'm a Rangers fan. I can't stand the Knicks. I can't stand them. They are the worst fans in the city.
What part of New York? What part of New York did you grow up in?
I actually born and raised in Danbury, Connecticut. I border the state of New York. I used to work in the county across the border for about 4 years.
Oh, okay. So you're okay. So that makes sense.
Yeah. So I worked in Putnam and Dutchess County, New York. My father used to work as a private courier. So before everybody knew what WB Mason was, there's like those big companies and those big trucks everywhere.
Yeah.
Before, my father basically delivered office supplies to New York City office buildings. So fun fact was, he actually, because he had a hand truck in the back of his van, it was his own vehicle. They reimbursed him for gas, mileage, all that. So what happened was, he actually delivered office paper across the street from the World Trade Center, and he was gone 2 hours before it happened.
Oh, man.
And ironically, the last couple of weeks, he was debating about buying a TV. So after he found out the news and everyone was saying the world was going to end, before the internet was really what it was now. So sure enough, that day he bought that TV. He got home, made the decision, yeah, I'm buying the TV.
Huh.
And that stayed in my garage for 15, 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was ugly. Like when technology came in that ugly ass gray? It was an ugly ass gray box TV.
The old school one.
Yep. 2001, remind you. That TV was bought in 2001.
And I was 8 years old.
Oh, man. Oh, is there anything you want to brush up on? Did you get any news as of recent? Anything?
Well, actually, lately I've been on a tear with soccer. I mean, I usually always am, but I've been writing it up and just putting a lot of cool stuff. The World Cup, is actually going to be in November. It normally would be happening right now, but since it's in Qatar, they had to move it up to the winter because of the weather. But going with soccer, how the city of New York always has like two teams, so to speak. There's New York City FC, then there's the New York Red Bulls, there's the Yankees, the Mets, the Nets, and the Knicks, but of course then there's the Rangers and Islanders. But the Islanders, Long Island is not New York City, right?
No.
Yeah, it's not New York City.
Long Island is not New York City.
Yeah, but
fun fact, there's two things that some people need to learn. When you go for the boroughs of New York City, Harlem is not a borough. Long Island is not a borough. It's Staten Island.
Staten Island, yeah. Staten
Staten
Island,
Island's the
Queens,
borough.
the
Long Island's
Bronx,
not.
and I think the Bronx is one of them. And then there's Brooklyn, and
Bro-
then there's Manhattan.
Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island. Harlem is not a borough. They count
Yeah,
that
I
as
think
part of the
Harlem is
Bronx.
it's part of Upper Manhattan.
The Bronx.
Oh, okay.
They count
So
as the Bronx.
Harlem is part of the Bronx. Okay.
Yes.
I really need to
There's
check
some,
out. I really
there's
need to
some
visit New
people that
York.
Also, as far as pizza, there are places in Manhattan, but don't disregard New Haven pizza.
The one in Connecticut.
There's a few New Haven style pizza places in Connecticut, yes.
Okay.
So essentially, now everyone's got like a different taste in pizza. Now, and a lot of people have asked me, right? And I've had pizza takes that some people won't agree with, but I've had Midwest guys tell me that Papa John's cheeseburger pizza is the best, and I'm thinking to myself, get out of my sight.
Yeah, I used to work at Papa John's and I didn't even like it. Then again, I am an extremely picky eater. I mean, I always say I'm the pickiest eater in the world.
Well, I'm just saying, right? If you had to relate, right? I'm a tri-state guy. Okay? So me being a tri-state guy, when somebody says, by also, technically New England as well. So when somebody wants to talk about seafood or pizza, it's like, whoa, slow down, Mr. Guy in Illinois or a guy in Indiana. You know what I mean? So if we take, let's say in this element, the cheeseburger pizza, if you don't like the meat that goes on the pie, you being a guy from Texas where it's a delicacy over there and you got to treat it right. If you don't like the meat that goes on, it's going to be crap no matter what, right?
Exactly.
There you go. So for us, it's about the dough, and there's different kinds. Like the New Haven pie, it is wood oven. So it actually, you go in there, right? And he actually rotates the pie at different times. So what happens is he'll start in the back, but he'll actually go for it, keep eyeing it, and he'll take the pie, take it out, spit it a little bit, put it back in. He wants to make sure that it's evenly crisp on the bottom. It's a thin crust, cheese heavy. And when I think about one of the best pizzas they've ever had, it's the roasted red pepper and garlic. And that is the founder of the white clam pie. Now, you're probably saying no, it's a fruit on the pie, right?
I'm sorry?
There's no fruit on the pie for you, right?
I mean, if I'm in New York, I would I'll tell my friend Ricky, who's plans on taking me on the tour. I'm like, the most authentic New York pizza. That's what I want. I want to get a taste of New York. I want to learn about. I want to respectfully visit New York. That's the kind of I love sightseeing. I love to travel. I mean, that's why I would say I'll never own a house, because if once my shows are all viral and I have a comfortable living, I'm going to travel most of the time, even though people think if getting an apartment is a bad idea. I'm like, okay, whatever. But I like what I like to call scavenger hunt tourism. Like, I want to go to places where things happen. Like, if I'm in San Francisco, I want to go to the place where the scenes from the Dirty Harry film was filmed, or New York, like where film scenes were filmed, like or historic sites.
Sounds like you need to own an RV. Sounds about right, huh?
Yeah. But as far as New York, like the New York style delis, New York style pizzas, get the New York style bagels, like really get a really good, like I want to visit New York in an appreciative way.
Yeah, because there's some people that don't know what delis is. Like me, there's some people it's Italian inspired, but the Guatemalans run it. The woman Wanda goes, "What would you like, hon? Bacon, egg, and cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup." Yeah, bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll, salt, pepper, ketchup. Once in a while, a hash brown.
Yeah.
Some people do hot sauce. Some people do two meats. Me, bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll, salt, pepper, ketchup. And there's a certain way they do it. Like the worst thing that pisses me off is when, well, I'll put it this way: if you ever have a burger and the bread's cold, fucks up the program.
It's got to be toasty.
It's got to be at least room temperature.
Yeah, exactly. Room temperature.
If my bread is cold, if I bite into cold bread and then like the meat, the cheese, and the egg is warm, it's like you're fucking up the whole program.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's why I'm like, if I'm in a New York City, if I'm in a New York pizza parlor and then they ask me, well, I told them I'm from Texas, like, well, they have, I'm like, I want you, hey, I'm here to visit and learn and appreciate y'all city. Make it the way that the traditional New York way. I want to learn, and I'm sure they'll appreciate that.
You're holding up the line, Toots.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear the accents. First thing they'll probably say is, "Hey, how you doing?" I think that's New Jersey. I'm not sure that's New York.
Well, here's one for you. Do you know what gabagool is?
No. They say if they'll say I'm holding up the line to it, so that I'll probably say on the text, and I'm like, well, I don't give a damn. These people can wait. They can go elsewhere, huh? They'll say they can go elsewhere. You dig? You hear?
Gabagool is a Southern Italian term for capicola. One of the meats that go in Italian combos.
Oh, nice.
Some people think it means something else. They say all the time. They're like, "Where's the gabagool?" No, it's like, where's the? There's no bread here. What are you doing? Where's the bread? Tell me where the bread is. Unless you're making a sandwich, shut up, clam it.
So this is what I love about coming on. I mean, we talk sports. We're really getting to know each other. I mean, this is a blessing, AJ.
Oh, absolutely, I love it.
Yeah, and you like you're half Italian, right, or full Italian?
I'm only a quarter actually.
Okay. Yeah, because based on your knowledge, you have pride in your Italian heritage, which is good. I mean, I'm French American of Syrian descent. I say French American because I have citizenship in both countries, and I'm of Syrian descent. So, but like that, see, like it's in the Italian, like where's the bread? Like you go to those French restaurants, it's probably even bigger chaos. Like you ask them for cheap wine, they're gonna get on your ass and say, or like if you go to a restaurant, one time this guy said he asked for ketchup for his steak. The chef stormed out and said, "This is not Burger King. You cannot have it your way here."
Oh my! What's next? You asking for the salt shaker? Come on, man.
No, if it's a kid, like, okay, he's just a kid. Yeah, leave the kid alone. but yeah, I mean, sometimes I see part of the learning.
If you're an Italian, if you're trying to look for a breakfast sandwich, this is the way that they're supposed to do it. So it's a bacon, egg, and cheese. Recommend salt, pepper, and if you're a ketchup guy or if you rather do a hot sauce, that's what I do, depending on your preference. And I'd take it on a roll. There's some people that like it on everything bagel. Me personally, if you don't think that the everything bagel is fresh, go the roll because it's softer. Because if the bagel's hard, it's over.
Yeah.
Because you don't want a tough bagel. You don't want to go, come on.
Yeah, I can imagine the bagel's tough, and then I tell the guy, and then the manager goes to his employees, and he'll go like, "This kid is visiting from the state of Texas, and he's trying to learn our state. This is what you give him?" And I'd imagine the manager's going to go on a yelling spree.
It depends. It depends on what place. I mean, I don't have that much experience in the city where I kind of try to have breakfast beforehand, just so. I mean, it's just a different culture, and it's just like ride there is like an hour and a half, all that. It's like a lot of times you just kind of think early lunch, which is actually funny because depending on what time you wake up, like for me, like me working at the waste management plant, I'm working on this conveyor belt. I'm kind of just looking at the time before my shift change. All of us, 10 o'clock, we're thinking lunch. We eat lunch at 11. That was just how the shift. That was how the shift went. We had originally we had an 8:30 break, an 11 o'clock break, and then a 1:30 break. It was a 1:30, yeah. So now it changed a little bit, and it's just kind of like, hey, what do we do from here? Like you hear some of these guys like, okay, fellas, 9:30, chop chop, let's start thinking lunch. 9:30. 9:30. Fuck me. Some people aren't even out of bed yet.
Yeah, that's usually me. I'm usually not out of bed yet. Well, that's because I'm always up all night working, doing my podcast stuff.
Well, I mean, if you're
it's a
working,
brutal life,
working.
y'all. Yeah,
But
working.
I'm just saying, there's some of these guys where it's like, if you were a tradesman like me, it's like before the hour shift, I was up at 5 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. I'm up. I'm getting dressed and I'm doing my thing.
You work for like you work from like what 7 a.m. to like mid afternoon.
I would go from 6 o'clock till 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Which is actually pretty cool because you have the rest of the day to do anything. You can go to the grocery store, you can go to the bank, you can go to the post office, anything.
Yeah, and then so it's a normal day, but I like it. Still, he says, "Yeah, it's 9:30. Chop chop. Let's."
Fellas, 9:30. Start thinking lunch.
Yeah, really want to get that New York experience. Like, again, you're like, I'm trying to hopefully not say you're holding up the line.
You're a horse's ass.
Yeah, but I would warn them, hey, don't mess with the Texan. That you might think you're gonna win, but it's gonna turn into chaos. And then it's gonna turn into it's probably gonna turn into a political showdown.
I think it probably would. It's actually funny because there's somebody I know, and his father grew up in Rochester, New York, and then he moved down to, I think, Missouri. So what happened was his father was, I think he was selling cars, and he goes, I'll buy the car. I won't buy a car from you. He goes, there a problem? He goes, not buying a car from a goddamn Yankee.
Oh.
I mean, that's funny. I mean, not only that, but that's another sports city. You know what I mean? It's all baseball now with a little bit of hockey, but still, could you just imagine that? A guy with a New York accent, a guy trying to form into the car. It's like, my grandfather told me about you bastards in the early 1900s World Series. It ain't happening today.
Yeah, so much humor, but everything. But you got a New Yorker and a Texan. He'll say, hey, I don't know if it's New York, if it's just New Jersey when they say it, the way they say, hey, how you doing, or like that. Like sometimes I'll say, hey, how you doing, and people will ask me, are you from New Jersey? Because apparently when I say it, I sound like I'm from New Jersey because I say, hey, how you doing? But then when I say y'all, that's when the Southern accent kicks in.
Well, it depends. Like, do you now this is also going to be political. Do you watch Friends?
No.
Have you seen a clip?
I have seen clips. I've gone on YouTube. I mean, okay, I've watched it a few times. You're at a friend's place. They have it on the TV before you whatever. Yeah, I mean, I have seen a little bit of it. I've just not. I've not binge watched. I've just not binge watched.
Well, I'm just saying, if you know who they are, it's like some people expect everybody to go like Joey. It's like, hey, how you doing? Also, I was kind of thinking to myself, as far as the bread, well, I kind of thought to myself, if the Frenchman had bread that was stale to the point where his son will use that in a sword fight, that's why you got to make sure the bagels are fresh, because if the bagels are hard, it ruins it. Yeah, name a sandwich where the bread is bad and it's okay.
There's none, as far as I'm concerned.
Impossible.
Impossible.
Dough's bad on a pizza. Impossible. You cannot make do. If the sauce is a little too sweet, that's fine. There's so many elements to make it great. It's like you could wipe sauce off to a point. You could mask it with something. Like, you can't screw up bread.
You can't. No.
When you screw up the bread,
Even in the French tradition, it's a sin. It's an unforgivable sin.
I agree. Just terrible.
But in New York, and I say, "Hey, I'm like, they ask me so they always say, "Hey, doing so? What do you need?" And I'm like, "Well, what do y'all suggest?" And they'll probably like, because I'm like, "Well, I'm from Texas. I'm visiting. What do y'all suggest?" And then I'm pretty sure they go like, they probably say, "I don't know. What do you want?" Huh.
I mean, it depends too, because there's so many cultures that go around there too.
Yeah.
I forgot who it was. Was it it was Joe something. He goes, "This is how you can tell every Asian accent different." Like there's actually one. He goes, "You want to know how you could tell that a guy is Japanese? Voice come from abdomen." He's like, "This one goes like this one goes like this," and he goes, "The Japanese is the most deep because it all comes from the abdomen." And I'm like, holy hell. And it's funny because in Chinatown, oh yeah, good luck reading the signs and everything else because, well, I don't speak Chinese, and it's just like I'm in that foreign part of town. Like, it's like when you see those, it's like I feel like that guy who studied in China and he speaks Chinese, like. It's like, hey, here's a Chinese restaurant drive-through. I'm going to go into it, speak Chinese, and then they're going to come forward and they're going to see this Caucasian guy speaking Chinese, and they're going to be floored. They're going to say, how?
Right?
And he's even ran into people where he goes, oh, yeah, my daughter has no desire to learn it. Or my son or my daughter or whatever else.
Yeah, it's like
it's nuts.
It's like me going to a Mediterranean grill and telling them I don't speak Arabic, and I speak a little bit, but I'm not fluent, and I'm a non-practicing Muslim. That's probably not gonna go too well. They'll probably still serve me, but they'll probably look at me and go and shake their head. It has happened before, and I hate to say it on this, but it has happened before. But
my father was brutally made fun of for not speaking the language, and he's half Brazilian and half Portuguese.
Yeah, just like that used to happen to me with the community. That's why
Well, I mean, it sucks because the thing is, I'm third generation, but the second generation never learned it. I mean, my grandparents speak it, but they never taught my dad, never taught my aunt, and of course, it never went down to me. So how am I supposed to learn it? And it sucks when you get called faker in a culture.
Right?
Absolutely. Sucks.
I mean, I always say, like, if I go there, they try to speak to me, and I tell them that, and they immediately start, so I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go take my business elsewhere. This is pathetic.
Awful.
And then they find out they think, okay, he's Americanized, he's from Texas. That's where they're gonna pull out that political card. They're gonna assume this. Like, oh, jeez.
It's different to say the least.
It's different, but go back to everything. Visit New York, Little Italy. I do have that in mind, but what I'm told is Little Italy is nothing but a street now, which is a shame, really. But Chinatown too. I mean. All I want is visit New York and have a good time.
Absolutely.
Maybe tell those Giant fans, like, yeah, I love my Cowboys, but I'm always tearing them apart. You'd love my show. If you want a show where somebody bashes the Cowboys, I gotcha. But I do praise them, of course. But I'm just like that fan. Like,
there's
not the fan that's going to say start a year.
But here's the thing: most Cowboy fans, right? Just like Yankee fans are either going to say we're better than you, but at the same time they'll be like seriously, like it doesn't matter if it's Yankee fan, Met fan, there's some people that are just, not optimistic. Could you imagine just being like waking up? It's like beep beep beep, hits alarm. Mets suck, Jets suck, freaking coffee sucks. Dude, it's 6 a.m. It can't be that bad. Mans, you're killing me.
Yeah, well, a New Yorker says that. I'm like, hey, it could be worse. The Cowboys are overrated as always. Ain't gonna win nothing.
And you don't hear that from Cowboy fans. You don't.
No, you don't. Except for me, a New Yorker says, "Oh, the Jets suck." Like you said, that accent. The Jets suck. The Mets suck. I'm like, hey, could
Mets
be.
suck. Jets suck. Coffee sucks.
Then here I'll probably say, like, yeah, the Cowboys still embarrassing the hell out of themselves. Those damn other fans saying we're gonna win the fucking Super Bowl.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's probably a comedy skit, like a frustrated Texan and a New Yorker.
Funny.
Yeah, so funny.
Absolutely funny. So Alex, anything else you got to add, my man?
Oh no, man! It was so great to come here and chill with you. To give a little bit of audience, you and I getting to know more a little bit better, and really giving the audience some entertainment.
Just nonstop laughs, just learning.
Yeah.
Just.
Because based on all the shit going on in the world, it's good to have a laugh.
Yes. Absolutely. It's actually funny too, because it's like I got an energy drink podcast, and it's funny, like when we talk about like sports and everything else, it's like when we talk about flavors, right? It's actually funny because there's a guy we know. When we talk about tea flavors, it's like I'm from the East, my co-host is from Michigan, and we kind of say this. It's like, listen, when it comes to fruits, it's all personal preferences and everything else. But I'll just say this: if you want to argue about pizza, don't do it with me. And in return, I will not question cheese from a guy from Wisconsin, and I'm not going to argue the taste of tea from a man that lives in the South. Like lemonade or tea, and it's the South. How are you arguing that? I can't. I can't do it. Anyways, just tell us where we can find you, Alex.
Yeah, always around, just doing my thing, hoping for the best, building stuff. Hopefully, the big breakthrough might be happening soon. I can only pray and I'll keep going. Life's been brutal, but it's got to keep going.
Well, hey, just remember, can't be as worse as this.
Yeah, if there's any New Yorkers out here, you got any suggestions for when I visit? I mean, I do plan on visiting New York. Any suggestions? Just let me have him. I would like to visit your city. I'd like to have a good time. I mean, I've already got Central Park. I've already got Times Square in mind. The Empire State Building is, if it's not crowded, I want to go to. Well, I mean, it's New York City. It's always gonna be crowded. But I want to go to a time of year where
wicked expensive too.
Yeah.
It's expensive to go up on top.
Yeah, but for the experience, I mean, I did do it last time I was in New York. I did do that, but now you want to do it as an adult. But Times Square is obviously there too, and like that. But I know, I mean, if there's
to make it easy for you, if you're at Grand Central Station, you are very close to Times Square.
Yeah, I looked at the map.
I mean, that's how I end up going there. Personally.
I'm already getting the advice. It's already been noted. Grand Central Station.
Oh. News article from The Athletic. Rob Manfred, MLB commissioner, said both teams urgently need to find permanent homes, meaning the Athletics and the Rays.
The Athletics and who?
The Rays.
Oh, the Rays. Okay.
Because if you remember, they're talking about half and half, Montreal and Tampa. And I'm like, what is this, my lemonade iced tea?
And this is coming out of Rob Manfred. Shut your mouth.
No. That was the owner's proposition.
Okay.
Half,
No, I'm
half,
talking about, yeah. Okay.
half the
Okay.
home games in Toronto, in Montreal, are half in Tampa. And my personal thought was, what happens if you are, part of the team? Like, are you supposed to have 2 apartments? Does your family stay in Florida and you have an apartment in Canada? Like, how's that work?
God knows how expensive that would be. You gotta all the app. It doesn't work. It just doesn't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine
unless the team has a training facility with dorms, then maybe, I guess. But
I mean,
there's nothing.
It's funny because I'm trying to think about that. The advanced training facility right now to date is probably the spring train for the Blue Jays. I mean, they got like a mini club area and a barber shop in their training facility in Florida. So it's like spring training in Florida, you're set. Like, I can't imagine going to the barber, like chilling out, grabbing a shower. Then you probably grab, you probably Uber Eats a sandwich, and then you get ready for the ballpark. Like, I always wondered that. It's like, how come these guys are at spring training 2 weeks earlier than when they're supposed to show up, and then they get there at like 8 o'clock instead of like 10, 11? I always wondered that. It's like you get there, you get your stretches in, you take a lunch break. I don't know. How do people do it? I do not get it.
I guess we're not supposed to, right?
Anyways, thank you, Alex, for being on. This has been
no problem.
An absolute thriller. And we will keep in touch, my man, all right?
We will keep in touch, yeah. And I'd love to come on here, talk random subjects with you, have a good time, chill. It's a blessing, brother.
This is AJ Torres and the Bear Man of Texas of Calling Strikes. Sending off. Take care, everybody.
Goodbye.